Now, in the news, Ghana and Cape Verde to deepen ties, especially in fisheries and tourism sector.
Finance Ministry issues new guidelines for validation of government workers whose salaries for April have been suspended.
Hello, good evening, and thank you so much for joining us. This is News Hour, and we are live on GBC24 and GTV. My name is Akpene Avo Ajaja.
And my name is Evans Echampon. To our first story, Ghana and Cape Verde have resolved to deepen ties, especially in the areas of fisheries and tourism.
During a visit to Cape Verde, the President, Nana Akufo-Addo, advocated for strategies that will boost trade between the two countries in line with ECOWAS integration agenda. President Akufo-Addo's visit to Cape Verde is part of his strategies to enhance the existing relations between the two countries. Though Cape Verde is poor in natural resources, prone to drought with little arable lands, the country can boast of peace and stability. It is one of the countries that uphold high democratic credentials. According to the UNDP Human Development Index, only a small proportion of Cape Verde's population live below $1 a day. In sub-Saharan Africa, the country's economy falls within the medium development bracket, with progress in health and education since independence in 1975. The island country is currently led by President George Fonseca. President Akufo-Addo was worried that very little has been done to increase trade between Ghana and Cape Verde. Trade between Ghana and Cape Verde reduced from $5 million in 2013 to $200,000 in 2016.
All of us know that one of the biggest weaknesses that we, the Africans, have is that we don't trade with each other. Other parts of the world trade with each other. We don't trade with each other. I think any opportunity there can be to enhance trade and economic links is good. We want to have agreed with the President tonight that we're going to establish a permanent joint commission for cooperation, which is going to be the legal framework in which Cape Verde and Ghana are going to address their trade and investment concerns. We want to promote direct links between our two countries.
Back in the country, the Ministry of Finance has issued new guidelines for the validation of workers on government payroll whose salaries for April have been suspended. In a statement, the ministry urged the affected workers to submit to SSNIT for re-enrollment from the 22nd to the 26th of this month. SSNIT is expected to complete the validation process by the 29th of this month to the 2nd of June. Who have gone through SSNIT biometric registration but were not paid on May 11 to visit any SSNIT branch with their payslips and their biometric cards for validation. The statement said those without their biometric cards can present the acknowledgement of receipt issued during biometric registration and a valid SSNIT number as proof of biometric registration for further validation. On the issue of staff with valid SSNIT numbers but have not gone through SSNIT biometric registration, they are to register at any nearest SSNIT branch with their payslips together with either an NIA, NHIS or voter ID card, passport or driver's license. The statement further urged staff who have not registered with SSNIT to do so using their employment letters and the national identification cards stated earlier. It said there are adequate measures to ensure that affected workers who successfully follow the Ministry of Finance guidelines are paid without further delays. It will be recalled that the Finance Minister, Mr. Ken Ofori-Atta, on the 10th of February, requested the Controller and Accountant General to inform public servants on the Government of Ghana mechanized payroll system who have not registered on the new SSNIT biometric system to do so by the end of that month. The directive said failure to do so will see the salaries of the affected staff suspended in April 2017. As a result, the salaries of 26,589 unregistered workers were suspended indefinitely until the completion of the SSNIT registration process. following the suspension of the salaries of their registered workers. 9,375 of them were subsequently registered and validated onto the payroll, after which they were paid on the 11th of May. The statement said about 3,000 workers are currently being validated and will be paid as part of the May 2017 salaries. The Finance Ministry said the government will continue to implement strategies aimed at cleaning the payroll and rationalizing its payroll costs. Let's move to the Ashanti region now, where the Obuasi municipality has a drop in the HIV and AIDS prevalence rate from 6% in 2014 to 4% last year. Obuasi, a major mining community, had consistently been recording cases of the infection until this reduction.
The Regional Technical Coordinator of the Ghana AIDS Commission, Madam Olivia Graham, made this known in Kumasi. It was at the presentation of a regional report based on the Sentinel Survey on HIV and AIDS. She also explained the 5-year strategic plan for the period between 2016 and 2020. Madam Graham noted that Ashanti region made strides in containing the HIV and AIDS pandemic. These include improved coverage of the prevention of mother-to-child transmission from over 95% to nearly 98%, increased coverage of antiretroviral therapy services from 24 to 59 sites, in addition to a successful takeoff of the Treat All Antiretroviral Therapy Site project. Madam Graham mentioned in particular continuous stigmatization and discrimination against persons living with HIV and AIDS as some of the challenges and drawbacks on the Ashanti crusade against the spread of the disease.
We have to intensify our engagement with the regional House of Chiefs so that they will in turn sensitize their communities on stigma issues. Also, there's a need to intensify our interactions with the herbalists to educate them on basic facts on HIV and also to help them, encourage them to refer their clients to the health facilities.
The Director General of the Ghana AIDS Commission, Ambassador Dr. Makowa Blay Edujemfi, noted that the new Ghana AIDS Act 2016, Act 938, has provided a framework to ensure adequate, sustainable and legal framework to address stigma and discrimination. The regional minister, who also doubles as the chairman of the Regional AIDS Committee, Mr. Simon Osei-Mensah, called on all stakeholders to help fund HIV intervention programs, as governments cannot do it alone.
The 2017 review conference of the Community Water and Sanitation Agency has taken place in Kumasi. The Minister for Sanitation and Water Resources, Mr. Joseph Kofiada, stressed the need for strategic thinking and repositioning of all agencies under that newly created ministry to ensure effective delivery of water and sanitation in the country.
The 17 review conference is focused on rural water and sanitation provision, the current role of CWSA, the gaps and the way forward for effective and sustainable delivery. Mr. Ada observed that the shift in donor funding has a serious implication for an organization like the CWSA, which relies significantly on such support for its financial sustainability and industrial relations. The minister said the vision of government is to contribute to the provision of safe and adequate water and sanitation facilities for all communities nationwide by the year 2030. Under this, government is committed to the provision of 25,000 boreholes and 300 pipe schemes under the agenda for water and sanitation.
There is a need for concerted efforts by all stakeholders to achieve these laudable targets. CWSA in particular has a critical role to play, and every effort should be made to ensure that the targets set are achieved. And I will appeal to all to be mindful of our attitudes towards work and also achieve the code of conduct for the public sector. We are working together towards a common goal of alleviating poverty and better the living conditions of our people, the rural communities.
Engineer Walanyo Akwajo Saibi disclosed that the initial 5-year sustainable rural water and sanitation project being funded at a cost of $75,000 by the International Development Agency of the World Bank has been extended by 2 years from the original completion date of 2015. The extension is to allow for the completion of key components which include the provision of 1,000 new boreholes to be fitted with hand pumps, rehabilitation of 40 boreholes in the northern region, 40 mechanized water facilities and 29 small town water systems.
The Minister for Regional Reorganization, Mr. Dan Bote, has said that speeding up development in the country remains government's topmost priority. At a Sunyani meeting with traditional rulers of Bono Ahafo over the creation of new regions, the minister hinted that government has not chosen any name for the new regions to be created, nor predetermined boundaries or demarcations for them.
During the 2016 election campaign, both the NDC and the MPP promised to oversee the creation of new regions, the desired goal being taking government closer to the people and speeding up development. The workshop on regional reorganization was to bring chiefs in the Bono Ahafo region up to date on the process of the creation of new regions as promised by the government. The president during a recent visit to Bono Ahafo said the process could be completed within 18 months. The minister spearheading the process was therefore at the workshop not only to brief the chiefs but solicit their views on the proposed new regions. Bono Ahafo, Volta, Northern and Western regions could be affected by the reorganization exercise. The workshop, which was supported by the Konrad Adenauer Foundation, a German organization that advocates good governance and democracy, was attended by a full house. The president of the Bono Ahafo Regional House of Chiefs, Pimampim Yao Kagbrese, welcomed the developments.
Yana yadi yahia some atu nanim se regional esui na emu behia se yadi etu nanim na ndawo ma ponhwe na ponchimu emaye na nchemu no yebodi se hafu for enya regional
The Minister for Regional Reorganization, Mr. Dan Botre, said for about 30 years the 4 affected regions have been calling for the creation of new regions. He said both the MPP and the NDC agree that indeed there is a need for new regions, adding that government will be guided by law in delivering the new regions.
Rooted in the national constitution, which they say, Oma actually the constitution, 1992 constitution, Omunya, and the same said, Dachibi, and Baba said, your regions, you know, you become. It is a Oba your constitution, man. Actually, chapter 2, Oba territories of Ghana, and Article 5, actually, say, Basse, Oba said, Oka Rigibi boom. Which means that constitution anticipates
Earlier, a representative of the Konrad Adenauer Foundation, Dr. Owusu Mensah, said Germany is one country that has gone through several reorganizations and therefore presents a case study Ghana could learn from. The paramount chief of Goso traditional area, Nana Kwesi Bosompra, shared some thoughts with GBC24 on the sidelines of the meeting.
We trust na nanu nyina wo say na yekoya adehye no ho na yekokasa kyerem se we nya MPP NDC duwa ba bia won gyetum se yente ye ho se de be ya ye disika ba ebetumi asoma development no akoso meji atum se na biara na oba ye egitum se ye bekwa okasa kyere adehye no se durabato na obi ankyere na adwene se yenye ntum na ma asodwie emra ye bro na ya hafo se de ye kan se bro na ya hafo de ye ade ba ko na mom se ye be ya de development be ba no eno ho na ma ye ni abre.
Back in the national capital, a photo exhibition has been opened as part of activities to celebrate AU Day on Thursday, the 25th of May. The Deputy Minister for Foreign Affairs, Mr. Mohammed Habibu Tijani, who opened the exhibition in Accra, said the African Union can achieve its objectives if governments harmonize their actions.
Thursday, May 25, marks the 54th anniversary of the African Union. It was founded as the Organization of African Unity on 25th May 1963 in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. The objective was to seek the political emancipation of the African continent from the shackles of colonialism. As the successor of the OAU, the African Union came into existence in July 2002 at the Durban Heads of State Summit, with a more focused goal of propelling African states towards peace and prosperity. The AU has since its formation had reasonable successes through its direct contribution and collaboration with the international community on settling and minimizing conflicts in some of the region's hotbeds, such as Sudan, and resolving post-election conflicts in Cote d'Ivoire and the Gambia. Also, AU observer missions are now sent as a matter of routine to cover elections in all member states in accordance with the African Charter on Democracy. In celebrating this year's 54th AU anniversary, the Deputy Minister for Foreign Affairs, Mr. Mohamed Habibu Tijani, says there is more to be done in the pursuit of prosperity in the Africa region.
All the fundamental objectives that underscore the formation of the OAU, it is fair to say that the body has had to grapple with the various obstacles and challenges since its inception. However, the far-reaching aspirations of the body, as captured by the current Agenda 2063, can only be realized in the lives of ordinary Africans when government garner the necessary political will to integrate the goals into national and regional development plans and programs. Ghanaians as a whole must be conscious of this fact in order to avail ourselves of the mindset and interventions necessary to actualize the collective vision of the OAU in our everyday lives.
Activities lined up for the celebration include a health walk, a quiz competition, and a flag-raising ceremony at the Flagstaff House by the President Nana Akufo-Addo on Thursday, 25th of May.
Parents have been urged to inculcate the habit of reading in their children. This was at the International Children's Book Day and Award ceremony held in Accra.
It is a recognized fact that reading among children plays a crucial role in creating independent learners and instilling in them the right attitudes for their development. The International Children's Day celebration was first instituted by the International Board on Book for Young People in honor of Hans Christian Andersen, a Danish writer, in 1967. The day recognizes children's writers and encourages reading among children. The theme for the celebration was "Let us grow with the book."
In order to promote and encourage reading in the region and Accra metropolis, the Ghana Library Authority, in collaboration with the Ghana Library Association, I Read Ghana, FHI 360, and the Ghana Publishers Association, as well as the Ghana Education Service, embarked on a reading clinic program in the metropolis.
The wife of the former Vice President, Mrs. Matilda Emisa Arthur, who was the guest speaker, said reading on regular basis helps improve the communication and comprehension skills of children.
Every book you pick tells a different story. Every book you pick takes you to a different place. So you are growing with the book. And the book is impacting on you, either by helping you improve on something that you are doing or helping you to understand relationships.
Awards were presented to school pupils who excelled in poetry recitation, spelling bee competitions organized by the Ghana Library Authority, as well as schools who frequently patronized the library.
Now, in the wake of recent gas explosions in the country, the Ghana Cylinder Manufacturing Company and the Ghana National Fire Service have trained some gas filling station attendants from Eastern and Volta regions. The training, which took place at Koforidua, educated the fuel attendants on how to prevent needless explosions at gas filling stations.
In December last year, 9 people died and several were injured in a gas explosion near the Ghana International Trade Fair Center, Atla, in Accra. In February this year, another gas explosion occurred at Tulaku, a suburb of Ashaman, killing 4 and injuring many. In May, 2 separate gas explosions occurred in Takrady and Tamale with similar consequences. The situation, according to the Ghana Cylinder Manufacturing Company, is worrying. They say if the trend is not curtailed, it will be difficult for government to win the fight against deforestation caused by excessive use of firewood, which accounts for over 71% of energy consumed in the domestic sector. Experts say the rampant gas explosions at gas filling stations is also likely to affect Ghana's action plan to get 50% of households to adopt clean and efficient sources of energy as LPG by 2020. After a successful training, the sequel was held in Koforidua for gas filling station attendants in Western and Volta regions. Participants were educated on the various parts of the cylinder, how to detect a faulty cylinder, and the proper procedure in receiving and discharging gas at the filling station. The fire service also took attendance through basic fire prevention and how to put out fires in an emergency. According to the head of production and technical service at the Ghana Cylinder Manufacturing Company, Mr. Ezekiel Mensah, it is disheartening to see lives and property lost in the gas fire outbreaks. He said the gas attendants come in contact with the consumers daily, hence the need to educate them so they can educate consumers on best practice in their home. The Deputy Public Relations Officer of the Ghana National Fire Service, Mr. Billy Anaglate, said the Fire Service and the National Petroleum Authority are working out a plan to halt location of new gas filling stations at wrong places.
People have even seen some of those gas filling stations, but they've gone to build wall. They are sharing wall with them. We are looking at a situation where some of those gas filling stations will be relocated.
Some of the participants shared their experiences after the training.
Now giving me more opportunity to go out there, talk to my customers about how to use gas, the quantity to buy, and the way to preserve it or keep it, what to do and what not to do.
Gas filling station attendants in other parts of the country are expected to be trained in the coming days.
We take a break here. We are back shortly with business news.
Welcome back to the news. In business this hour, the first batch of textbooks printed locally for the Ministry of Education to be distributed to public schools across the country is ready for delivery. The president of the Ghana Printers and Paper Converters Association, Mr. James Appiah-Berkon, said the printing firms will deliver ahead of schedule in July.
February 2016, government gave a directive indicating that all basic and senior high textbooks should be printed by Ghanaian-owned printing firms. These textbooks are for basic and senior high school, but dictionaries, technical and vocational textbooks are to be imported due to the fact that Ghanaian publishers have not been given the right to print. Out of 11 A-class printing firms selected in Ghana, 8 were awarded the contract to print the textbooks. A visit to some printing firms by a monitoring and evaluation team from the Ghana Printers and Paper Converters Association, Book Publishers Association and Ghana Book Development Council indicate that the project is 75% complete and ready to be delivered. Backpress is currently printing integrated science and social studies textbooks. In an interview with the general manager, Mr. Francis Nyanen, he said the firm was given a contract of 930,000, of which 75% has been done. He added that to ensure that the work is done on time, more hands have been engaged from January this year.
We have a capacity of machines to do the job. In terms of the staff strength, we have a well-built staff who are capable of doing the job, and we run 24-hour shift. In terms of materials, we have huge stock of materials in our warehouse to complete the job, which is about 75% complete. So the remaining 25% is not a problem at all. Depending on our performance for this first contract, we've done a good job. So we expect the government to keep on giving a contract to local printers to empower the local entrepreneurs. The government should also look at the mobilization in terms of the upfront payment, which will go a long way to boost the capacity of the local printers.
Next was JK Printing Firm. Here, GBC24 found out that the firm was contracted to print Akiola mathematics textbooks for both basic and senior high 1, 2 and 3. The contract was signed in February and 70% of the work has been done. Upon arrival, the team found out that the firm was about to deliver some textbooks to the publisher. The president of the Ghana Printers and Paper Converters Association, Mr. James Apiapeko, lauded the companies for the urgency they attached to the job. He added that a major challenge facing the printing companies is the 30% mobilization upfront, which was expected to have been paid last year, so the printing firms pre-financed themselves.
The time that these books have been produced is really commendable. The quality of print, the quality of paper, the artistry of the production have all been tremendously impressive. We are very impressed. When there had not been any mobilization even given, now that we have been able to do what we set ourselves to do, we are able and confidently able to say that there is no challenge in the area of book printing in this country that the local printer would be found wanting.
Come July, all contracted firms would deliver the textbooks printed. Dorothy Ajamai, GBC24, Accra.
An alternative to conventional steel rebar has been introduced onto the Ghanaian market. The fiberglass reinforced polymer rebar is 25% lighter than the usual iron rod and has a lifespan of 120 years. To engage industry players on its use, advantage and application, a day forum was organized for members of the Ghana Institute of
Composite materials like fiberglass constitute an integral part of the modern world. Its usage, financial benefit and durability provides ever-growing demand in countries like the US, Japan, Canada, UK among others. Since the 1980s, practical application of polymer composite materials were used for bridges, medical facilities, power stations and harbour facilities. Currently, Canada is holding the lead position in the application of fiberglass polymer reinforcement in the construction of bridge decking. To assimilate new technology and implement composite materials in Africa, a factory producing composite rebar has been established at Pram Pram in the Greater Accra region. This factory manufactures the product in accordance with American standards, ACI, and has distributors in neighboring countries. Viva, a Ukrainian company, is to officially introduce the fiberglass, its advantage and disadvantages, cost and durability onto the Ghanaian market. In a presentation, an earthquake engineer, Dr. Ni Alote, said contractors who purchase the product would have to be monitored in order to apply the do's and don'ts of the fiberglass. The civil structural engineer for the technical committee from the Ghana Standards Authority, Mr. William Nimako, said a 15-member committee has been set up to examine and review the product, hence holding of the forum.
We reviewed over 16 documents or standards on the product, and having reviewed the standard and some of the samples of the bar which was produced being tested in the Ghana Standards Authority laboratories. I believe that the product will be suitable for use in Ghana. It's not a new product in the world, but it's a new product which is actually coming to Ghana.
The chair for the Civil Technical Division of the Ghana Institute of Engineers, Mr. Joseph Odey, said next year the institute will develop a course content to sharpen the skills of practitioners on how to use the fiberglass rebar for construction.
You just have to follow what has been prescribed in the design codes. Once you develop your knowledge in that, you can be very flexible in its use. And I'm sure Viva has come in good time and is posing challenge on us as engineers. But the most important thing is that we develop our knowledge on how to use these products.
The fiberglass is 2 times stronger than steel, is corrosion resistant for saline environment and cheap. Contractors can use steel alongside the fiberglass depending on the nature of the construction, if flexure, compression or shear. The director for Viva, Mr. Ivan Romanov, says Viva intends to use bamboo in Ghana as another alternative for bars for the construction industry.
Is a completely unique and completely different in terms of specification and the raw material. It doesn't have any steel. You don't melt it in the production, and is completely environmentally friendly technology. You can use anything else to bind. Actually in China, in India and in America there are specific joints which are produced which you just click by binding.
A civil engineer, Mr. Emmanuel Noti, says he has used fiberglass for some of his construction work, and with focus, no special technique is needed for using fiberglass. Viva says it is ready to support government institutions to conduct research for composite materials to boost the country's construction industry with world best practices.
And that's it for the business segment of the news. We take another breather. We'll be back with My Journey. Please stay with us. Good evening and welcome to My Journey on GBC24 and on GTV. My name is Beatrice Senaju. In My Journey this week, I will take you on the trip to Otukwejo, a farming community in the eastern region. The area is famous for the cultivation of crops such as garden eggs, okra, tomatoes intermixed with such tuber crops as cassava and cocoyam. Many of the farmers at Otukwejo are subsistence farmers, meaning they are seasonal earners. The community, however, has a challenge. The only health facility is a little room which may be referred to as a kiosk. This means, faced with an emergency, the inhabitants have to travel long distances to receive medical attention. Otukwejo is a farming community in the eastern region. It has a population of about 1,500. I first heard the name Otukwejo from my lecturer in school, who drew my attention to a health facility in the town which is in a deplorable state. Seeing the pictures of the hospital left me in shock. The reason, the health facility looked more like a kiosk than a hospital. I then decided to take a trip to Otukwejo. The journey from Accra to Otukwejo is about 2 hours, and the road leading to the community is bumpy. A traveler has no other choice than to fasten the seat belt for safety reasons. After a few hours, I arrived at Otukwejo. My jaw dropped upon arrival and seeing the hospital. This is the much talked about hospital in the town. The facility is made of mud and the front view plastered with cement. The building has no windows, meaning no ventilation. In my mind's eye, I kept wondering how health care, I mean quality health care, could be delivered under such circumstances. I observed that the roofing of the building was supported with stones to protect it from being blown away in a storm. There was no electricity connected to the facility at the time of my visit, as the only meter I saw had been disconnected by the ECG. I was sad
When I finally entered the room, what I saw was 4 plastic chairs for patients, a vaccination box tagged under some benches. 2 benches were put together to serve as a bed for patients. The room serving as the hospital has no ceiling. Folders of patients are kept in these boxes you see down here, together with the weighing equipment. I was told that there were about 10 nurses working at the facility. 9 of them travel all the way from Accra to Otukwejo every day to attend to patients. All my efforts to talk to the nurses yielded no results. This is because they all live in Accra and do not report for work on Sundays. This small facility renders services such as antenatal care, family planning, general OPD, and child welfare, among others. The hospital was donated to the community by the assemblyman for the area, Mr. David Ametepe.
Nursing mothers have to travel long distances to get their children immunized. That is why I gave the community this room to be used as a clinic. The clinic project, unfortunately, has been halted.
A
32-year-old woman, Monica J, tells me that in case of emergency, they have to travel all the way to Pakro or in Sawem to access health care.
We don't have beds and other facilities in the hospital. The nurses normally give us medication, so we go to our various homes because they can't admit patients. When a woman is due to deliver, we have to travel to Pakro before the person can be attended to.
This facility has been serving the community for the past 2.5 years. Madam Ernestina Adobia told me how they cope during emergencies, especially involving pregnant women.
Delivery and emergency cases are a major challenge since we do not have vehicles to transport the women to the nearest hospital. The pregnant women sometimes lose a lot of blood by the time we get to the hospital. We also don't have enough beds and medications for the treatment of our patients. We wish we could get some help.
A 15-acre land has been earmarked for the construction of health facility for the people of Otukwejo, but access to funds remains a challenge. Moved by the plight of the community, some students and a lecturer have donated 100 bags of cement for the building project and 2 solar lamps to be used at the old facility.
When we first came here and we looked at the place and the condition that was prevailing and which is still prevailing, we felt the need to really do something. When we look at the distance between Otukwejo and the next health facility available, which is in Sawam, and the condition of the road, you can't just but help, and then we will continue to help until we know that in any emergency case, these people could easily get access to health care.
Edward Som, a resident of Otukwejo, touched on other challenges such as lack of place of convenience and potable drinking water.
We don't have a public toilet and a refuse dump. People now dump their refuse indiscriminately. This is really affecting us.
Very serious.
Our roads are very bad, and conveying our produce to the cities to sell is a problem. we are always making losses.
In France, cassava do any cassava, plantain, and cook county, and the major food that me feed up Manprobi market.
When it comes to healthcare service delivery, patients, payers and politicians are asking for improved results like better access, faster diagnosis and treatment, more convenience, greater sensitivity to health disparities and so on. The challenges we face today call for more novel approaches, in other words, innovation. We need innovation in healthcare service delivery that is on par with innovation in other aspects of the healthcare system. Although we can benefit from ongoing innovations in diagnostic technology, pharmaceuticals, surgical procedures and medical devices, too often these are embedded in healthcare service delivery processes that do not provide timely, patient-centered, safe, effective, efficient, coordinated and equitable access to the expected benefits. Consider, for example, a patient experiencing a variety of symptoms pointing to possible cardiac problems, unexplained fatigue, shortness of breath and dizziness. Innovative, high-tech tools such as echocardiograms, ECG, and computed tomography scans can help diagnose or rule out the underlying causes of such symptoms. Following diagnosis, an array of pharmaceuticals, medical services, and surgical procedures, many of which did not exist only a decade ago, also are available. However, what has remained largely unchanged is the patient's often frustrating experience of scheduling appointments, finding their way through medical office buildings and hospitals, waiting for test results and the needed care. And in places such as Otukwejo, the absence of such facilities and services makes the difference between life and death. Beatrice Senaju, GBC24 Otukwejo.
Turn on my journey today. Join us same time next week. Enjoy the rest of the news.
In other news, the 2-hour downpour in Accra this evening flooded most parts of the city, causing traffic congestion. Low-lying areas such as Dansuman Junction near Dakuman, First Light, and Pamprom near Kanishi were affected. Motorists on the Odoko-Kanishi Highway had to wade through blood waters, slowing vehicular movement on the stretch. At Pamprom, the camera captured this heap of rubbish on the shoulders of the road. Pedestrians blamed the floods and on drains that have been choked by refuse such as this that is left unattended to. The Ghana Meteorological Agency has predicted more rains this year.
Hello, good evening. Let's talk sports. I'm Theophilus Sampa. The president, Nana Akufo-Addo, will be the special guest of honor at the 42nd Sports Writers Association of Ghana Swag Awards night to be held in Accra. The awards is scheduled for Saturday, May 27th at the banquet hall of the State House.
The night will be used to honor and celebrate distinguished sportsmen and women who excelled in 2016. A statement from SWAG said President Akufo-Addo will join more than 700 guests at the banquet hall to celebrate sporting excellence and help honor the men and women who worked tirelessly to raise the flag of Ghana in 2016. The event will also be attended by patrons of SWAG and distinguished guests including the Minister for Youth and Sports and his deputy, the Director General of the National Sports Authority, executives of the Ghana Olympic Committee, the Ghana Football Association and other sports federation heads. With 7 days more to go for the event, the Group Chief Executive Officer of CDH Financial Holdings, Mr. Emmanuel Edu Sarkodie, has urged nominees who will not win on the night not to be discouraged.
I think SWAG is one of the most credible award systems we have in this country. Lots of sports writers know and see what's going on. So if you didn't win, it just means you should put in a lot more effort the next time. In fact, if you don't win, it shouldn't let you down. It's rather to encourage you to do better and win the next time. So you can also put your name out there.
He advised the organizers to make the State House disability friendly.
Last year there was an issue that we dealt with, which was that the banquet hall, the access for the disabled was quite a problem. I hope this year it is resolved so that the disabled can come in proudly, not being carried or anything, but walking there and also feel part of the celebration.
Emmanuel Tegu, the International Boxing Organization lightweight champion, and Federation of International Football Association FIFA and CAF venue coordinator Anthony Bafo will vie for the topmost award, the SWAG Sports Personality of the Year.
The Ghana volleyball men's team beat their rivals, the Ghana Immigration Service, by 3-0. It was part of the match day 5 fixtures in the ongoing Greater Accra Volleyball League.
The Accra Volleyball League is in its 5th week. The Ghana Police men's team clashed with rivals, the Ghana Immigration Service. The encounter was thrilling as the police lads forced the immigration lads to play according to their rhythm. They dominated and won the first set by 25 points to 9. The second set saw immigration finding answers to the play of the police team. Despite showing glimpses of a comeback, the police lads were just too strong in the air with their spiking and smashes. They won by 25 points to 20. Immigration sought to redeem itself in the third set. They took a commanding lead of 14 points to 4 midway, but some tactical changes from the bench of the police side did the trick for them. They bounced back and won by 25 points to 18. The encounter ended 3-0 for the police team. Here are some reactions from captains.
We are currently Zone 3 champion, and we are preparing seriously to go and defend it. And we started the league well, beating everybody 3 straight. Our training is very, very tedious. We prepare for them to beat them today.
The chairman of the Greater Accra Volleyball Association, Mr. Jotete, shared his experience.
This year has been very, very encouraging, an improvement upon last year's competition, and we are seeing surprises. Today we saw the ladies match. The outcome was very historic. Immigration, for the first time, they beat the police service by 3-0. And the same on the other side, the men, the police beat them by 3-0. So I believe that in the coming weeks we have other interesting features. We have Emmanuel Presby coming up against Blue Skies, and I think that will be the top lineup for next week.
The league continues with match day 6 pairings.
The head coach of the national swimming team, Mr. Kudwabiu Jackson, says he is happy at the progress made by the national team swimmers. National team swimmers keep dropping their times, and this, Mr. Jackson believes, is critical in making the qualifying time for the Youth Olympics in the Bahamas in July.
The venue for this year's GH Dolphin Swim Invitational Championships. It attracted more than 280 athletes from 8 swim clubs. Most of the swimmers on the day, especially the national athletes, improved on their times, an indication of more work done by the athletes. This development, according to the national team coach, Mr. Jackson, is impressive.
It was lovely to see all these swimmers, compete at that level. It was nice to have a national record broken. The 50-meter free butterfly was held by Abeko at 25.0. Today he did 24.4. So we have a new national record today. Yes, Leila performed very well. She came into 50 freestyle with 34, and my understanding, I need to cross check, but my understanding is that she has improved her performance. If you look at the age categories of not just GH Dolphins but all the teams, you can see that the entry times and the swim times, the swim times are far better, which means that every swimmer has improved. Cole swam 27.1 in Egypt. He's just done 26.9. I think Maya has dropped her time as well. Yes, Maya swam 30 in Egypt on 50-meter freestyle, and she's just done 29 too. So they are getting better and better.
The 7th edition of the Commonwealth Youth Games will take place from the 19th to the 23rd of July this year in the nation's capital, Nassau, and 7 sports will be featured. They include aquatics, which in swimming is included track and field, boxing, cycling, judo, rugby sevens, and tennis.
The Ghana Triathlon Federation says they are grooming 2 athletes to qualify Ghana to the upcoming Tokyo Olympic Games. The president, Bara Husseini, says that they are on course.
The Ghana Triathlon Federation on Sunday 13th May 2017 organized a sit race at the University of Ghana swimming pool. Dubbed the 6th Kempinski Cowbell Triathlon Games, the championship saw new national records being set. GH Dolphins Zachary Abdul Rauf and Leila Waburi Zangui set new records. Zachary Abdul Rauf set his personal best record after he accumulated a time of 1 hour and 7.40 seconds to defeat his American and French contenders. In the female category, defending champion Leila Waburi Zangui finished first and elevated the bars over a personal best of 1 hour 26.59 seconds. The president of the Ghana Triathlon Federation, Mr. Boaf Husseini, says his outfit is targeting the Tokyo 2020 Olympics.
Our main target is to get Ghana qualified to the Tokyo Olympic through the youth program, to the Commonwealth program. We also scouted 2 athletes, 2 kids and 2 adults. We are preparing them for the African Youth Games next year. If they qualify, then they can also go and represent Ghana at the Youth Olympics. And the adults one, we are preparing Lele and Rauf for the Commonwealth Game next year en route to the Tokyo 2020. So they will go for Africa and South Africa next year and Egypt next year. All these international competitions are meant to prepare them for the Commonwealth Games en route to the Olympic Games. But before, whilst we are preparing these athletes, we are also nursing another crop of athletes who will take over from them. That's why we are nursing Osabute, Maya, and Jacqueline. These 3 great athletes, we are trying to nurture them to take up when Rolf and Co are no more there. After this year, next year, we will also get another crop of athletes that will continue in the pipeline. We don't want to break the line. So while we have Rolf, we have Osabute, and we are getting another one next year. That is our plan.
This year's Triathlon Games witnessed 56 athletes and 7 relay teams competing. It had the backing of Kempinski Gold Coast Hotel and Promesador Ghana Limited.
That's all for sports.
Entertainment news. Afro dance hall artist Homenya Bright, known in the music industry as Article 1, says most budding artists do not put too much content in their music. He says it is this that captures the attention of their audience, leading to their breakthrough. He was a guest on our showbiz segment.
If you know they dance, another bad thing for the mommy, everybody come messy sides go canto. What do you want to be groove now, no? If you don't know where you for no, I contour see them follow on me fan them bend down low. While I'm checking.
Article 1 believes that his appetite for music was whetted by his parents who loved singing. He lauded his team and management for the support they have given him over the years.
My team is a family.
Okay.
There's not any management like what I say. When I say management, you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's a family that we build up from infancy, and then God willing, we've been able to push it, and still we are pushing, and this is where we find ourselves.
Article 1 says Ghanaians should expect more hit songs and music videos from him this year as he collaborates with artists like Miss V, Medical, amongst others.
More collaborations, and then I have a song with Medical, I have a song with Miss V.
Okay.
Just recently I was working with Miss V on her album, and then I'm on the album, and then we're working on a video.
Okay.
Yeah, so a lot of stuff's coming up.
Keep watching the weather reports and do have a splendid evening. Have a good night.
For the news, thank you so much for joining us. We'll be back at 10:30 with This Week.
Good evening.